The introduction and the core arguments. At the heart of Elif Shafak's novel is a powerful thesis.
Love is the ultimate essence of life, and transforming one's heart requires dissolving the rigid walls of the ego, embracing vulnerability, and accepting the divine mirror provided by another human being. Shafak explores this through two parallel storylines. Ella Rubinstein, a 40-year-old woman trapped in a passionless marriage in Massachusetts, and the historical journey of Rumi, a brilliant but unfulfilled Orthodox cleric who becomes a global poet of love only after meeting Shams.
Argument A. Spiritual metamorphosis requires an intimate mirror. Shafak argues that true spiritual awakening cannot be achieved in isolation through purely intellectual study or rigid religious ritual. Human beings need a spiritual companion, a mirror to reflect their flaws, vulnerabilities, and hidden potential. Rumi was already a revered scholar, but he was spiritually stagnant. Shams acted as the disruptive force that broke Rumi's complacency, forcing him to look inward and trade his societal status for the raw ecstasy of divine love.
Argument B. The illusion of time and the unity of human experience. A foundational argument of the novel is that the past, present, and future are not separate compartments, but a single, fluid continuum. The problems Ella faces in 21st century suburban America, loneliness, fear of change, loss of passion, and a paralyzing need for security, are identical to the spiritual blockages experienced by the characters in 13th century Baghdad and Konya. The rules of love are timeless, universal, and equally applicable across generations and cultures.
Argument C. True submission is active, not passive. Shafak reframes the concept of submission, Islam, tasawwuf. In popular culture, submission is often misunderstood as passive resignation or weakness. Through the voice of Shams, the novel argues that true submission is an act of supreme inner strength. It means trusting the universe completely, accepting that whatever happens is part of a grander design, and remaining resilient and open-hearted even in the face of betrayal, hostility, or imminent death. Pause for 10 seconds. Reflect on your own life.
Who acts as your mirror, showing you who you truly are when your ego tries to hide it? 2. Core literary and historical facts. While The 40 Rules of Love is a work of fiction, it is firmly anchored in rich historical reality, biographical facts, and precise structural patterns. The historical anchor. The novel accurately depicts the real historical relationship between Jalaluddin Rumi, the elite Islamic jurist, and Shams of Tabriz, the nomadic dervish, whose encounter in 1244 AD fundamentally changed the landscape of world literature and Sufism. The S-curve narrative structure. Shafak brilliantly weaves a dual narrative framework. The outer frame is the contemporary story of Ella, who takes a job as a literary reader for an agency and begins reviewing a manuscript titled Sweet Blasphemy, written by a mysterious modern-day wandering writer named Aziz Zahara. The inner frame is the manuscript itself, detailing Shams's travel to Konya. As Ella reads the manuscript, her life begins to mirror the shifts happening in Rumi's heart, leading both narratives to crash into a shared realization of love and loss. The prism of perspectives. A unique technical aspect of the book is its shifting first-person points of view. Instead of a single narrator, chapters are narrated by a diverse cast: a murderer, a prostitute, a drunkard, Rumi's jealous son, and a zealot cleric. This deliberate structural choice reinforces a core fact of Sufism. The divine truth cannot be captured from a single viewpoint. It must be pieced together through empathy for all walks of life. 3. The 40 Rules Matrix. Key operational pillars.
Throughout the novel, Shams of Tabriz shares his 40 rules of love, a spiritual guide to interpreting the Quran through the lens of love, compassion, and inner reflection. While all 40 are highly poetic, they can be distilled into 4 operational pillars that drive behavioral and spiritual change. The core pillars of Shams's rules.
How we see God. How you perceive God is a direct reflection of how you perceive yourself. If you see fear, you are fearful. The path of the heart. The mind analyzes, but the heart experiences. Intellect creates boundaries, love dissolves them entirely. The law of the mirror. The universe is a single organism. Whatever you see in others is an echo of the state of your own soul. Welcoming change. Do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know the sign?
4. Analytical breakdowns of key characters. To understand the core arguments of the book, we must analyze the specific psychological transformations of the protagonists. Ella Rubinstein, the trap of comfort. Ella represents the modern human condition of trading soul-level fulfillment for predictable security. She has a beautiful house, a successful chef husband, 3 children, and financial comfort. Yet her life is entirely sterile. Her journey demonstrates that a life built purely on avoiding conflict, managing routines, and suppressing one's true desires eventually leads to internal rot. Her connection with the author Aziz shows that awakening can happen at any age, provided one is willing to step into the unknown.
Jalaluddin Rumi, moving from intellect to ecstasy. Before meeting Shams, Rumi was an elite academic. He had all the answers, thousands of disciples, and immense respect. But he lacked a direct, visceral experience of the divine. Shams's role was to deliberately strip away Rumi's professional armor. He forced Rumi to dance in public, to associate with outcasts, and to face the harsh judgment of his peers. Rumi's transformation proves that true wisdom requires unlearning our rigid public personas.
5. Reflective questions for self-examination. To extract the maximum value from this summary, step away from passive listening and run an honest internal audit
of your own heart against the frameworks of the 40 rules of love. On the choice of safety versus growth. Ella chose safety for 20 years before finally listening to her heart. Look at your current professional track, your habits, or your relationships. Are you staying in a comfortable, predictable routine simply because you are terrified of your life turning upside down? On the nature of intellect versus heart. When you face a major personal or life crisis, do you rely exclusively on your logic, calculations, and analytical mind to build walls? Or do you have the courage to approach the situation with empathy, emotional openness, and love? On your view of others.
According to Shams, the world is a giant echo chamber. When you look at the people around you who frustrate, irritate, or anger you, can you see that your judgment of them is actually a projection of a hidden flaw or insecurity inside yourself? On embracing the present moment. Are you delaying your happiness, your inner peace, or your expressions of love until a future date? Waiting until you hit a certain financial target, buy a house, or finish a project? If heaven and hell are in the here and now, what are you building inside your mind today? Final pause. Take a deep, intentional breath. Let the noise of the day fade away. Accept the fluidity of change and choose one rigid belief about yourself